lovelies, welcome back to this channel. If you're new here, my name is Belinda's channel. Thank you so much for all the love and support. Don't forget to please subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications so that anytime I upload a video, you'll be the first person to be notified. And to my returning subscribers, thank you so much for all the love and support. To those people that share my videos and leave commentaries and also educate you guys are the real MVP. Thank you so much for all the love and support. Alright lovelies, let's dive into today's video. So lovelies, I came across this video on my For You page on TikTok, and I thought to share with you guys where the Pe.Ple people were just arguing about the reason why they felt that history should not be taught in school, especially, guys, I'm just going to roll the clip as well as some of the stitches I was able to put together, and of course, by the end of the video, I'll give you my own thoughts. Why not just leave me your own thoughts in the comment section of what you think of the video.
What I hate about the whole whitewashing history, when they say, well, we shouldn't make little white kids feel bad. What the fuck? It's history. Why can't white kids learn about slavery, Native American genocide? I mean, why can't we teach that? Why is that bad? It's part of history.
There's this whole thing that is a part of the white experience. And it is that when something makes a white person feel uncomfortable,
right,
everybody shushes it up.
Right.
It's like, shh, no, let's not talk about that. And then when we talk about slavery, it's like, shh, no, that makes us uncomfortable.
One of the arguments you hear in opposition to talking to young children or to teaching elementary level school children about racism or the history of racism in America is the argument goes something along the lines of, well, you're going to make white kids feel bad about being white. What is your response to that?
Well, I would say those people are most concerned about our teaching of slavery. So let's just talk about slavery.
Sure.
If we teach white kids about slavery, we're going to teach them that there were white people who enslaved people and there were black people who were enslaved. And we're also going to teach them that there were white people and black people who challenged and fought against slavery. And so my question back to them would be, why can't we allow white children to identify with white abolitionists? And and also it demonstrates to me that these folks recognize that kids are not colorblind and that how we shape the curriculum impacts our children. So then why aren't they concerned about how black kids feel when they're not represented in the curriculum?
So, did you hear what Florida State Representative Alex Andrade said about slavery? Yeah, in defending a new law that bans teaching about systemic racism, he said slavery was bad, but
if we can't have an honest discussion and say that some slaves were paid for their work, then we're afraid of teaching accurate history.
Well, seems like this guy isn't satisfied with the fact that Florida already teaches its students that some enslaved people benefited from slavery because they learned some skills. Nope. He wants people to know that some enslaved people were paid for their work. Do you get the feeling that Florida's just a few years away from teaching that slavery was just a paid internship? So here's the thing. It is true that in some rare instances, some enslaved people were allowed to earn very small amounts of money. But let's be clear here. This was a tactic of exploitation and control used by slaveholders, basically to incentivize hard work and obedience. And again, it was a very rare practice. So the reason this dude wants Florida kids to learn that some enslaved people were paid is that it makes slavery appear more benign and less cruel. Yeah, they were enslaved, but some of them got paid. Just like that white representative in Kentucky who recently claimed that her white father, born in the 20th century, had been a slave. And yes, I made a video about that, which you totally should check out. History's important, people. That's why some are out there trying to sell us a twisted version of it. So be vigilant and don't buy it.
Slavery is as old as time and has taken place in every corner of the world, even amongst the people I just left. Being taken as a slave is better than being killed, no? Before you judge, you must ask yourself, what did the culture and society of the time treat as no big...
Okay, holy crap. That video is terrible. It's a video from PragerU, and if you've never heard of that, consider yourself lucky thus far, but I'm about to ruin that. Despite the U in its name, PragerU is not a university, nor is it educational. It's right-wing propaganda, framed as educational, to brainwash people into dragging our country back to, apparently, a time when enslaving people was considered no big deal. The video is part of Ron DeSantis' new anti-woke school curriculum in which AP psychology is banned, apparently, and slavery was no big deal. It was more like a jobs program. One of the guidelines actually in the curriculum is teaching how slaves developed skills which, in some instances, could be applied for their personal benefit. Whew. Ron DeSantis doubled down on that by saying enslaved people eventually parlayed, being a blacksmith into doing things later in life. Except if you read any factual history about the time, and not just the propaganda that Pudding Fingers is trying to put out, you'll learn that even after slavery was abolished, once Rutherford B. Hayes took enforcement troops out of the South, they immediately created Jim Crow laws to prevent formerly enslaved people from advancement or independence. Critical race theory, the idea of looking through history through a lens of acknowledging the harms on enslaved people and other marginalized peoples, is spun by critics who usually either don't understand it or are pretending not to. It's spun by those critics as making white kids feel bad about themselves. But whitewashing and gaslighting history, like DeSantis is doing, is how we make the mistakes that we've already made without learning from them. Germany has educational content about the Holocaust, and they talk about how bad the Nazis were. They don't try to frame it as some of it was good. They acknowledge the atrocities and the impact that they had. We don't have slavery or Jim Crow laws technically anymore, but we have the American prison system, we have other forms of ingrained institutional racism, and we have judges who interpret the Constitution in a way that they can keep people of color down. If you love your country, you should be willing to criticize both its history and its present in order to improve it. Ron DeSantis and his pro-Columbus propaganda are not the way we move forward.
So I had to remake this video because I fucked it up, and I'm trying to make it shorter. But you said you don't remember them talking about slavery or Africa in school. I don't know how old you are, what generation, if you're a boomer or if you're Gen X, but I talked to both sets of my grandparents, and I asked them about what they learned in school, and this is what they had to say. They didn't teach you about the actual slavery until you got.
They didn't teach us nothing about black culture. I took that when I went to college. I took black history. I took black culture when I went into college, and that's when they first opened it up about black history.
So
we should have seen all the students in that auditorium trying to sign up for black history. It was new.
In college. So it was new, so about 1967, 1968, 1969 about when you went to college?
Yes, around that time, yeah.
Now that was my mother's mother. Now these are my father's parents. Do y'all remember what y'all's history curriculum was in primary school, like elementary school and middle school and high school?
Curriculum?
What they taught you guys in history class?
Social studies.
Yeah, what they taught you guys in social studies?
Yeah, that was kind of like, I guess, the history thing.
Did they teach you about slavery in Africa in elementary school and high school when you went to school in Maryland?
If it was very limited.
Very limited? Because I was asking.
I can't, you know.
Yeah. I was asking my grandparents, because I called Grandma Helen the other day, and she said she remembered they didn't teach about that curriculum didn't come until the late 60s, and she said she didn't pick it up until college because they didn't teach it to her in school. But she went to school in New Jersey, and y'all went to school in Maryland, so I was going to see if there was a difference in curriculum.
Oh, yeah. New Jersey was a bit more.
Oh yeah, because she went to school in the city up north, and I'm guessing when y'all went to school was like more the countryside.
Yeah, and that's when in the book the African continent was made to look smaller than America.
Also, these schools got integrated in the mid 50s. So both my grandma from Jersey and my grandparents from Maryland, they were going to school with white kids, with white people. And my grandma up in Jersey, Jersey City, where she went to school, she said they didn't teach her about Africa or the Atlantic slave trade. That shit didn't hit the schools until after she graduated high school, and she had to take it in college. And everybody was rushing in to take it. All the black people were rushing in to take this new African curriculum and African American history curriculum, right? And then my grandparents, they went down to school in Westsker, Maryland, down in the countryside. They don't remember too much about Africa, the transatlantic slave trade, and it being very limited, right? Nobody think that's peculiar. Nobody think that smells funny. Nobody thinks that's weird. Like, we're all African, right? All the black people in the Western Hemisphere, all the black people in the world, they come from Africa, right? Slavery started from Africa in the 1500s, early 1500s, and it went up until the 70s, even though slavery was abolished in 1865. Slavery was abolished in 1865. Why the fuck did it take 100 years for Africa and the transatlantic slave trade to reach the school curriculum in the late 1960s? Like, listen to this. Slavery got abolished in 1865. We're all from Africa, right? But it wasn't in the schools in 1870, 1890, 1900, 1910, 20, 30, 40, 50. It wasn't until the 1960s, almost 1970, that entered the history curriculum in the school curriculums. In the United States of America, where the slavery was happening, where they were taking Africans from Africa and bringing them here. And it didn't touch the schools or the history classes until the 1960s. And then if y'all listen to my nana, she said back then when she was in school in the 50s and 60s, on the maps, America, North America, the United States was depicted as bigger than Africa. I wonder why that is. And you know what's funny? I'm now on the side of the internet where I'm receiving information and evidence that life didn't even start in Africa. Life started in America. Mesoamerica, all that shit. The pyramids here. Mummies here. Mounds here. The Nile River here. The Mississippi. Yeah, I'm down that rabbit hole and researching that. But all life started in the Americas. And everybody left here. And now it's funny that my grandma said on the maps back then, when she was in school, Africa was smaller than the Americas on the map. It was smaller than North America, the United States. But that's another conversation. But like I said, my grandparents are boomers. I'm Gen Z. So I've been learning about slavery since I can remember. Since preschool. Kindergarten, first grade, third grade, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th, all the way through. Slavery's been drilled into my brain before I can even remember. But our parents, the boomers, they didn't know shit about Africa. They didn't know shit about slavery until the 1960s. Till it hit the colleges. Till it hit the school systems in almost the 1970s. You know what that sounds like to me? That sounds like people trying to rewrite history. People trying to fabricate and change history. That to me sounds like an agenda. People tell me I'm working for the government. I'm trying to divide the black community. I'm trying to deceive people. Whole time it's them. We've always been from Africa, right? They've been taking slaves and bringing them to America since the 1500s, since the 16th century. Why in the fuck would they not start teaching that in schools until the 1960s, when slavery got abolished in the United States 100 years prior? It's like nobody thinks, bruh. Nobody asks these questions. But that's okay. People keep calling me dumb. People keep calling me ashamed to be African and self-hating. People keep telling me I'm trying to do indigenous eraser and steal shit from the Native American. And I want to be Native American so bad. I don't want to be African. It's not about not wanting to be African. It's not even about wanting to be indigenous. It's about the truth. And it's about lies. It's about history being changed, and it's about an agenda. But like I said, people gonna chastise me and make fun of me, but I don't care. My grandparents just told me back then they weren't taught about Africa or shit about slavery. My grandma said that shit didn't hit the scene until almost the 1970s. And then my nana said on the maps back then, before it changed, America was bigger than Africa.
Like, seriously, lovelies, when I keep telling, people that these folks often do things that actually benefited them, or something that they feel that they are comfortable with, or they just like doing things that is of their own selfishness, people begin to like, okay, you decided that you are gonna strip our histories from school. Like you don't want history to be taught in school. You don't want these people to know about what actually happened. Like you don't want people to know about any form of historical fact, all because you feel that teaching that or making people or having kids to know about history, about their forefathers, about what really happened in the past, it's going to make pan-colored kids, it's going to make them sad, or it's going to make them unhappy. So all because of that, all because of this excuse, you decided that history should not be taught in school. You decided that because you don't want to make your young ones feel so bad or feel some type of way about history or about what really happened in the past or about what pan-colored people actually did to black people, because of that, you want history to be erased just because of your own selfish desire, or just because you just want to achieve a certain goal, or because you just want the truth to be buried and you don't want anyone or generations to actually know what the truth is. Okay, now my question is upon making this history not to be taught in school, because there's a video I staged about this, man, this guy, black guy, talking about how he has to call his parents to, at least make us know that even his parents and great-grandparents was not taught about, history of slavery, the genocide and all of that. So upon all of this, by not trying to let people know about history or try to teach students or children the historical fact, did it actually change anything in the society? Like, not teaching history or not trying to know about history or trying to make it possible for make it impossible for these little ones not to know about it, does it actually change anything in society, in this present society? Upon hiding all of those things, did it actually make the society at which we live, did it actually make us to live in an equality society, or did it eradicate any forms of race and cis? Did it actually eradicate privileges, like some kind of people will have privilege while some will not have privilege? So try not to teach this history in school. Did it in any form improve the way at which the society it is, like, at large? What I'm trying to say is that teaching history in school or not teaching history in school has, I think that even if these histories are not taught in school, the society is still runs in a manner at which some people is still benefiting, while some is not. The system is still run in a manner at which some people have privilege, while some people do not have privilege. And these said kids that you are trying to okay, we shouldn't actually teach these kids just to make them not feel bad, they will eventually grow up in a system that you have already created that makes some particular race of people to be privileged while the other remain unprivileged. So you trying to make you don't want the kids to feel bad, or because of the historical thing and everything that has to do with slavery and all of that, has never ever changed the way the society is. So I don't see the point of not allowing history to be taught in school. At the same time, I even think that allowing history to be taught in school, we actually give rooms to these kids to have a choice. Like when they have educated, or when they have been educated about histories, about what really happened in the past, about slavery, about segregations, all of those things that happened in the past, I actually think that it will give room for these children that you think you are protecting. It will give room for them to choose either a right path or the wrong path, because you not teaching them will actually make them to learn some things from their parent who decided to be maybe racist, and they will continue, from where their parents stop. And this way you think race and cis and all of that will be eradicated. No. So I think that when these things have been taught in school, and when they go home and they see some kind of character in their parents, they will have they must have known the whatever about historical thought, and they might be pushed to correct their parent, no, this what you're doing is actually racist, what you're doing is not right. But when these children that have the ability or the knowledge of which we all are trying to get now, it will make them, even if they see their parents who happens to be racist, to be or get themselves involved in some kind of racist stuff, they will just keep quiet and think automatically that whatever their parents is doing is actually the right thing. And the way the parents will still brainwash them, believing that, okay, we are actually doing the right thing, you are privileged and this other person are not, so you just have, this is when, or this is how race and cis still lives into this our generation. This is how being privileged and not being privileged is still living till date. So you're trying to make it look as if teaching this history will actually make this child or this whatever to feel bad. It's actually a very big mistake. You are depriving this child of what he or she is ought to know. And now, when people have already, argued on it, on teaching histories and all of that, some group of people decided to create some kind of a program, making it look as if black people actually was paid to be enslaved, or black people actually enjoyed being slaves. And this is just the misconception we're talking about. This is just it. Because history is not thought, a lot of people come with their own narration. There's a video that actually staged where a pan-colored woman was like, that she don't see anything wrong in slavery. That most of all the slaves were treated right by their slave owners. And most of them actually enjoyed being slaves. Even children that was born into slavery enjoyed being slaves because they see it as a part of life. And when she made this statement, a lot of people were searching this video. And I myself, I was like, so suffering and all of that has now become a norm, like a normal thing for people, for black people. That means even if you think that these people were paid with their jobs, like some people were paid for being enslaved and all of that, do you think that job is something that everybody want to be? Like everybody want to go into said job? Like you just want to be enslaved, you just want to suffer yourself, your skin, everything, just for you to get paid? If it's a very beautiful and sweet job and something enjoyable, why is it that it was only meant for black people to do? Why is it that white people are not doing it? So when someone comes out to talk about, we shouldn't just teach about this historical thing, it's gonna make these people feel so bad. I see this kind of person as someone that is selfish, and someone that is depriving someone of their right to know what's actually happened, or their right to choose a good or a wrong path. Like seriously. And now they want to make it look as if we were just enjoying being a slave, or we were just enjoying it. We were born to that. It is what is written in the Bible. That was why they were able to distribute a Bible that made slaves to actually believe that them being enslaved is the will of God. Like seriously, when I saw this video, I was like, I'm just gonna put it up here for us to actually delegate on it. Anyways, love this. Why not just leave your own thoughts in the comment section of what you think of this video. And do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying, harassment, or whatsoever. We're just here for educational purposes. So please share this video, subscribe to this channel if you're here to do that. And I will see you lovelies when I upload it. Watch up to this extent. Thank you so much for all the love and support. Why not just leave me your own thoughts in the comment section of what you think of this video. Forget that we do not support any form of bullying, harassment, or whatsoever. We're just here for educational purposes. So please share this video, subscribe if you're yet to do that, and I will see you lovelies when I upload the next one.